guys? Welcome to the ACE It podcast. My name is Bauer Brown, co-founder, lead instructor of ACE Interdiction Tactics, one of law enforcement's fastest growing training companies in the nation, specializing in bringing our cops to the best proactive training. If you have not checked out any of our classes, go to aceinterdiction.com, look at the list of classes that we have coming up, get registered, and make yourself better.
Welcome, everybody, to the ACE It podcast. I'm Bauer Brown here with Al Clark, and joining us today is one of our good buddies, good friend, Scout Butler. We're glad to have you, man. Thanks for being on.
I'm glad to be here, guys. Thank you.
First thing I noticed right off the bat, you got the ACE It shirt. You're sporting the ACE It shirt. And did I see a gold monster in the background near your TV?
You do see a gold monster.
The best string player ever was.
As the Bauer Brown monster. So
that's what it's becoming. That's what people are knowing it by. I had a lot of people see my last post when I was like, hey, I can't remember where we were, Kansas or something. I said, hey, there's no such thing as a gold energy drink in Kansas. Can somebody please bring me one? And I had a bunch of people bring me some. And they're like, man, you made it sound so good. I tried it and it's absolutely disgusting. And I was like, no, it's not. It's the best thing ever.
The more for me, right?
Right. Tell us about you, Scout. Tell the people what you do, who you are, what gets you excited about police work, why you became a cop, and let us know what you're about, man.
I'm currently assigned to the K-9 unit, just basic patrol. And what got me into it really was just having the drive as a young man, knowing my grandfather served 30 years with the LAPD, knowing he was a proactive guy in his younger career, and that really kind of catapulted me into the same type of work ethics as I got into law enforcement. So other than that, that was the beginning, was my grandfather.
That's really cool. He was with LAPD, you said? And
he
for
was.
How long?
28 years, and was a detective sergeant over the automobile theft unit when he retired.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
cool. Awesome.
So that got you into law enforcement. That's what you wanted to do. And then eventually you start getting into more of the proactive side. Like you said that your grandpa was proactive. You started to get into proactive. Can you kind of tell us, I mean, especially for our audience, can you explain a little bit about the difference between being a reactive type cop versus like a proactive type cop and your view on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, with my agency being as small as it is, it doesn't generate the call volume that a place like Phoenix PD is going to generate. So guys down there, unless you're in a specialty, you're not going to be out there making stops all day long or sitting on a highway. It's just not possible. Where I work, I have next to no call volume. I think for this year, I've taken less than 15 calls for service, and we're in what now, September. So the rest of that time is active, proactive patrol. There's not a whole lot to react to. So most of that time is spent out on the 87, doing criminal interdiction and going after anything humanly possible that I can that we deem criminal in a motor vehicle. And it's encouraged. And I'll just give my department props for that. They let us be those types of cops, and I couldn't thank them more, because it's opened so many doors for me in this little world that we're all in now. So.
Yes. Isn't that crazy that we are policing in a world where there are certain agencies out there that discourage proactive policing from the cops? That's what's crazy, is that here we are with you thanking your department
for letting you be a cop.
Letting you be a cop.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the world that we've come into. Al, what is the difference between when you started when I was 2 years old?
It's changed.
Scout wasn't even born yet.
It's changed over the years. I mean, to tell you, it's in so many different ways. It's from the things that are legalized now in the drug world to the way the public treats you, and even back when I became an officer, when you raised your hand when you went into court and said, yeah, I swear to tell the truth, well, that meant something.
Yeah.
And it seems like nowadays, if it's not recorded on video or audio or both, why then they don't give it credit like they used to. It's just different. Things have changed.
That's one of the biggest frustrations, is like, if it's not on body cam, it didn't happen. It's like, but what happened before body cams?
Exactly. You actually took your word. You mentioned 87. For those that don't know where that is, will you tell us real quick what you're talking about, like where it comes from and like the highway that you're working?
Yeah, 87 is a small little 2-lane road from Central Mesa, where the 202 and the Beeline intersect. Central Mesa, for people that aren't from here, you guys got to know, most of the dope moving across the country is coming from that area, and it goes right up the hill, right past my reservation and our casino. And it's a straight shot. There's really nowhere to go. Once you get on it, you're kind of stuck going up to the 40 or up to Show Low, Springerville area. but it's a hub for sure. It's absolutely a pipeline. And for those that don't take the 17, they come our way. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think it's unique that you work for a tribal agency, correct?
I do.
And a small reservation, and yet you're right there in an artery. I mean, you're out there hammering it. That's excellent.
It is, man. And it's, working 87, is this something that you knew was coming through before you really got into interdiction, or were you had no idea really what 87's potential was when it came to, large quantities of drugs moving?
Not the slightest clue what that highway was. Not a clue. And when I started my career, I thought writing tickets was the most badass form of policing you could do. I was writing the night, that's $3,000 in tickets a night. Everybody was thrilled about it. The tribal courts were thrilled about it. But I had no idea what I was getting into until I started to stumble upon it. And that's really how it all started.
Yeah, I think that I think you woke up a lot of people in Arizona to 87. I think a lot of people didn't realize what 87 was about and that roadway and basically what was on it. You're out there kicking ass on it. And
absolutely. Another one of those sleepy little roads that goes right through these small towns, and people just kind of traverse back and forth and not realize what's going on. That's awesome.
Yep.
Tough road to work too. Let me tell you, it's the frustrations are there's a lot more frustrations than there are victories for sure, and it is a tough road to work. But we do what we can, and I think we've been doing pretty good with what we've done in the last couple of years. And this has only been for us been present with our department for about 2.5 to 3 years now, tops. Mm-hmm. Not counting my academy time and my little 6-month stint thinking I was a traffic cop. That didn't happen until that, 2.5 years is about as long as we've been working it. So hopefully we put a dent in something. I would hope we would by now, but we'll see.
Right.
That's awesome.
One of the things that I've seen with you, I've known you for a while now. How long have we known each other, Scout? What has it been? Since 2019 probably, or?
Late 19, maybe early
2020.
First low December of 2020, and that's when Richie Rosales told me to call you and reach out. So probably right around the end of 20.
Okay, that's when it was. So I've known you for somewhat 2 years, maybe closer to 3, who knows. But one of the things that I've noticed about you, man, is your positivity in this game, which is hard to have when so many people seem to be against you, and not necessarily you personally, but you as a police officer, the media and just the world seems to be against us at times. And I'm one of the ones that I still think that the far majority supports us. I really do. I think the far majority supports us. But however, the loud majority seem to be the ones that don't like us. And I've noticed that through all that, you're always positive. And then you've had some challenges of your own, which we're not going to get into specifically, where you've been fighting through a lot of negativity in your career. And still, you always seem to be that more positive guy, still just happy to be here, happy to wear the badge, and wanting to go out there and kick ass. And I guess my question to you regarding all that information is, how do you do that? Because a lot of times I find myself getting down with the negativity, whether it's, mainly with the department frustrations or just the way that the media portrays us and all of that stuff. But you seem to always have that positivity going on. And how do we be more like Scout and have that positivity?
What's your secret?
My secret, I wouldn't say it's too much of a secret. I think, honestly, my upbringing with my mother, I will give her credit for this. I won't get into it a ton, but she was an Olympic athlete. She was number 1 in the world. That's a 1 in a million type of human being. That is a genetic gift that you with. And she pushed that motive on me at a young age. Like, you never quit. Let haters hate, basically, essentially was how I was raised. And winning is great, but we both hate losing. We absolutely hate losing. And the idea of how much I hate losing is what really pushes me to keep going out there day after day, even with hate from other agencies, even the public. I never go to work and hate my job. And I think, Bauer, you've mentioned it to me before. I can't remember exactly how you said it verbatim, but you've never met a cop that was mad about putting kilos of dope on the hood of their car. And that's really, it's very true. I've personally experienced that when I've had a rough week at work and I end up hitting the end of the week. My weekend and my days off were amazing. So it's definitely success, I think doing this line of work is what keeps you going. It feels so good and so rewarding to know you were right. And then when you hit, it feels even better. And I think that that's what's been pushing me for the last couple of years. No matter what, whatever haters I have around me say, it doesn't matter to me. It just keeps fueling me. And I use that hate as a fuel now at this point.
Love it.
Dude, that's awesome,
Love
man.
It, we've kind of started opening up our class talking about, why are cops proactive? Why be proactive? And one of the things that I bring up is the reason you should be proactive is, yes, okay, you get the common answer of, yes, it helps out my community. It's what my agency wants. That's what they want from me. And we clean up the streets and all this stuff. But at the same time, what people don't realize is look at the proactive cop and look how mentally stable and healthy he is in all aspects of police work. He's not complacent. He's out there kicking ass. He's excited. He's happy. And he's happy because he gets the opportunity to put 40 kilos on the hood, like you were saying. When we all become cops, what did we want to become cops for? Let's chase bank robbers. Let's, get in high-speed chases,
hunt the wicked.
Yep. Exactly. Hunt the wicked. And what happens when we become police officers? That's
everything but
not the case 100% of the time.
Right.
90% of the time, we're responding to Walmart for a shoplifter. And 10% of the time, we get to do the fun stuff. So in order to increase that 10% of the fun stuff, you got to be proactive and go find it on your own. Because if you're reactive, you're going to deal with the 90% of shoplifter at Walmart, loitering from the high school kids at the local Circle K, and the stuff that's just not fun to deal with. So the more proactive you are, the more healthy you are. And I've been taking that stand for, quite a long time. You're discouraged, go out there and arrest the bad guy, put 40 kilos on the hood, and I guarantee you're not going to be discouraged anymore.
Right.
You're going to find purpose again in your job.
For law enforcement folks, I mean, that seems to be the answer to all this is just go to work. Like, honestly, just go to work, get busy, go to work and start. You feel better. It's a fix all almost for some of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is.
Absolutely.
Let's see. Another thing that I wanted to bring up or talk about, since you've been doing interdiction is training. We'll go that route. It takes your 18 or 20 weeks of the academy to get somewhat of the basics down. And then once you graduate the academy, you don't even feel like a real cop at all.
Scared to death.
You're scared to death. And then you go to FTO, and then they're like, hey, after this 14-week FTO, you're good to go. And then they release you into the wild. And although you're excited and you're ready to go arrest bad guys, you still don't feel like a cop and still don't feel like you have a grip on everything and know what you're doing. And then eventually you get to where you feel a little bit comfortable with what you're doing and you like to expand into different avenues and you start getting training and stuff like that. And tell us about, your desire to get training and how that's helped you in your career, because I really think that a lot of law enforcement officers don't realize that the more training they go to, the funner or the more fun their career is going to be.
Yeah, I will definitely speak on that without, blatantly promoting ACIT. I will blatantly promote ACIT. Going,
which we did. Disclaimer here: we did not ask him to promote ACIT. Just a disclaimer.
No, but I for sure experiencing interdiction with as much court as you expect to see in your future doing it. I knew training was something I was going to have to get. I had been doing it. I think my first 4 or 5 seizures were pre-training with zero interdiction training, zero courtroom testimony training at all. I had nothing. I had my academy. I had an 8-week FTO program. Working for such a small agency, 8 weeks is nothing, but that's what I got. And doing traffic. That's all I had. And then when I hit that first load of dope in December of 2020, I'm looking at it thinking, oh my God, this is awesome, but I don't know what I saw. And I know something was wrong with these people. I just don't know what it was exactly. And I figured, that's like I said, Richie Rosales told me, you guys got to reach out to Bauer and get into an ASIC class. It'll help you. Just didn't have the time. The agency didn't have the money at the time to send us to any classes or have us off the road for even 2 days with staffing, because we were only a 12-man agency. Back then, I think we were a 10-man agency. So that training was not really, it wasn't available. We just couldn't do it. We were not available. But come that 5th or 6th load I had experienced, I knew I needed to go. I told my chief, hey, Shane Flynn and I need to go to this training up in Springerville. We attended the ASIC class that we did. And after finally there was clarity, and I was able to articulate not only on paper but also in courtroom setting what I was seeing and explain it with some confidence, because that was definitely going to be an issue. Fortunately, I have not gone to court on any of those first 6 loads I experienced, but I would say that getting into training is 100% necessary. You can have a talent all day long, but if you don't know how to articulate what you're doing, you're going to get your ass handed to you in court, period. At least that's how I feel about it.
Yes, absolutely. So here's an interesting way to look at it too, is let's take a recent YouTube video that was out there about a certain cop, and I won't go into it deeply, but a cop that basically detained somebody on the side of the road, for no reason, simply because they didn't understand reasonable suspicion, right? So ultimately, this agency ends up in a, multi-million-dollar lawsuit for violating this guy's Fourth Amendment right. What if they would have just paid $279 to send her to a training on reasonable suspicion?
Right.
They invest the money in their officer and training them on understanding what reasonable suspicion is and understanding probable cause and getting a little bit better training on that matter. They paid $279 for them to go to the training. They invested that money. Let's even add per diem. So let's just say $500 total they invest into their officer to get training. Well, now they just avoided the multi-million-dollar lawsuit of violating this guy's Fourth Amendment.
Yep.
And so I think, there's cops out there that want to go to these trainings, but some agencies are blocking them from it, and I don't think they see the benefit of it yet.
Well, and that brings up a point I wanted to make is I know a lot of agencies in law enforcement require, so many hours a year of training, and a lot of officers can't pick that. They just go to whatever's available, what their agency sends them to. But what's even neater is whether it's 10 hours or with Naval PD, it used to be 40 hours a year. But if you can excel on that and you can go to more training and you can get define your career, you want to go down this path and be an expert in that path, you can start getting training to help you really do well. And, some officers don't have that option, and I feel bad for them. It's just their agencies allow them to go to some interview training or something, and that's their training for the year.
Right.
And so they're in a bad spot. Sometimes it's not their fault.
I was 3 months on and found myself in basic forensic interview training.
Yeah, and that's new. Come on. That's an advanced class for a new officer. Yeah.
Thoughts on that, Scout? What do you think?
No, I totally agree with you. I think a lot of people aren't given that opportunity, whether it be from the administrative side of things, or they don't think they need to go. Well, I'm able to hit without it. Yeah, you might be able. I was able to hit without training too, but I also expected to see myself in court when I'm writing reports, not knowing exactly what I was seeing or what people were saying to me. Physiological things people's bodies are doing that I saw it, but I didn't know how to articulate that on paper. And I can tell you, and my sergeants could tell you, they probably hate me for it. My reports went from being 3 to 4 pages long to now they're 10 to 13 pages long. And 3 of those pages are about why something was suspicious to me because of how somebody looked at me wrong at the gas station.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it sounds so trivial and so stupid, but it really, in reality, it's not. And, I think now they appreciate the lengthy reports. And training is 100% a necessity. Absolutely.
It is. And real quick, I didn't mean to cut you off here, but you reminded me of something that I wanted to read, and it's basically, it's out of the 10th Circuit Court. And it's a ruling, if you will, or it's an opinion from the 10th Circuit Court talking about basically proactive police work and, how the judges and everybody should look at a case that's basically generated from an officer out on the road. So, for example, like an interdiction stop. And so it's US v. Santos, 10th Circuit, and it says, we bear in mind that the officer and not the court was present at the encounter, and the officer, not the court, has the training and experience to evaluate and compare the reactions of the motorist to questioning. We therefore give the officer, not the courts, assessment the due weight to which it is entitled under the Supreme Court's precedent. So I was like, wow, that's so cool, because
that's a nice ruling.
There's a lot of courts out there that are like, hey, I'm a judge, I'm an attorney, I know more than you. There's no way that you understand, what did this really amount to being
right,
reasonably suspicious.
Absolutely.
And so the more training you have, the more experience you get. They're going to hopefully hopefully give due weight to your experiences.
Well, and how is your Scout? How has this affected court with you as far as we all know that making the arrest and getting the seizure, no matter what the crime is, that's only half the battle. We really need to finish the battle in court and get the sentence. I mean, that's what we're doing it for, honestly. And so how have you seen this help you, or has it helped you in your court or with your cases and finishing them?
Yeah, it's been paramount in my court experiences. I can go into court now and confidently go in there and discuss what MFI is to me. I'll leave that acronym open to people's imaginations if they haven't been to the class yet. If you haven't been, you guys should. That alone has won me cases in court because it is so present with everybody you deal with. From the civil traffic violator to your high end smuggler that's loaded, has got a trunk loaded full of dope. It's been present with everybody. It's a matter of picking that stuff out. But then picking that stuff out is one thing, but now going to court and being able to explain what you were picking out of his behavior, that's obviously the most important thing, is that court case going into trial. I'm confident going into trial. Jared Robinson, I love the guy, sent a probably 3 to 4 page long email on an iPhone to my county attorney saying why all these different things I saw were valid issues with somebody's story, or why it was reasonable suspicion to me. And just recently I had a judge tell me, yeah, you absolutely had reasonable suspicion. Before, I don't think that would have been the case had I not gone to training. I really don't. So it absolutely is a necessity for sure.
One word he uses, and I just love it, is the confident. I'm confident.
Confident, yes.
And the confidence you get from training, from the case laws and learning your job, and that builds confidence, and then you can go forward and conquer with confidence. I love that, Scout.
Yes, that's something that I've hounded from the beginning is, a good police officer is confident, and what builds confidence is case law.
Exactly.
And you have to know and study your case law. There's been times where I bet every cop in their career can, think of, if not one, several situations that they've been in where they're like, what can I do in this situation?
Can I do this or not?
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. And so with that case law, that creates confidence, and that creates a really good officer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Scout, I know you're a dog handler. You're a canine handler, and got a great dog. Why don't you tell us about your dog and the whole canine experience?
It's kind of a drawn out story. I'm on my third dog with my department. The current dog I have was purchased from Night Watch Canine down in Sierra Vista, a lady named Constance Baker. She's got a lot of KNPV contacts. For those that don't know, KNPV is essentially just the Dutch Police Canine Association. It's all sport biting. But a lot of those dogs do get sold to the States to become police dogs, and that's where she chooses to go to get these dogs. Canine Chaos recently just purchased my dog Zara for me. And having this new dog that was pretty much a green dog for the most part really catapulted my obsession with the canine side of things, even more than the drugs. I've got an animal that's got a brain of its own. I figured I need to probably obsess over this a little bit more. I started going down a rabbit hole, started learning names like Michael Ellis, Robert Cabral, names I'd never heard of before in the law enforcement side of things. These are just dog trainers, but they're the best in the world, which also led me to end up going to Hits Canine down in Phoenix with my partner. Amazing training. But again, we'll go back to training. That training alone, just with the 2 or 4 hour blocks of training that you got at each instructor's class, really pushed me further and further and further into I need to be a really, really good handler for my dog to be reliable for me on the street, and for my dog to give me a final response when I need it the most. Because not everybody lets us search, as we all know. And to have a dog blow you off on the side of a highway really sucks, and it's happened to me before. And obviously I'm going to do everything I can not to have that happen in the future. But yeah, canines definitely become an obsession, just as much as the interdiction side has. So I'd say they're about 50-50 right now. They're pretty evenly matched right now.
Nice.
And you said it's Canine Zara, and tell us the breed, male, female. Tell us a little bit about her and how she is. I believe it's a female. Is that correct, Zara?
Yeah, female Belgian Malinois. She's from the Netherlands, was imported into Virginia to a family. I believe they're a vendor out of Virginia. She was then sold to Night Watch Canine down in Sierra Vista. She's 2.5 years old. She's a spun up little crackhead mess, typical Mal. She's crazy, but she is one of the most obedient, most fun loving dogs I've seen. And she's small. She's a little pocket rocket firecracker. She's probably 50 pounds. The first two dogs I had were about pounds. So to have a little tiny, pocket Mal like that is different. It's very different, especially when my partner's dog is almost 80 pounds. They look kind of goofy. So, but her handler's only 5'7", so I don't feel too crazy having her. But dog, she's an awesome dog. And with Alika finally opening up the whole fentanyl certification and NPCA opening that up, she's been imprinted on meth, coke, heroin, and fentanyl now. So she's
awesome.
All right.
Going to narcotics school October 3rd for 2 weeks with Gila River. So that'll be awesome. So we'll get her certified and we can hit the road.
Awesome. While we're on the topic, why don't we look and switch over to you, Al Clark, and you give us a little bit about your canine experience. Tell us how long you've been a handler. Tell us about your first dog, because I think it's interesting, and I think that now that we're
going back now.
Now that we've taken this podcast public, I think that the people out there need to know about your canine experience a little bit and how long you've been handling a dog.
Well, I've been handling a dog, I think, for 26 years. It's been so long I can't remember not handling a dog. The way I got into it was I thought it was really unique. And Page PD, I was up in the Page area working for Navajo PD, and they had I think 2 or 3 dogs, and they were training, and I volunteered to go catch dogs because I thought it was so neat. And so I'd go out with them weekly, and I'd catch dogs, and man, that was just the neatest thing ever. Just a great adrenaline dump. And I wanted to get into this, but Navajo PD didn't have a program like that. And I got a Rottweiler as my first dog and got him certified. And he was just patrol only. He didn't do dope work, but he was a biting fool. And so I was patrolling with this dog. I didn't have a canine set up in my unit. I'd roll the window down, and his great big old head would be hanging out and tongues going down the side of the car. And that led to, so I realized, similar to Scout, that I was obsessed with this, and I wanted a better dog. He didn't do the drugs or anything with his nose much. So then I got a German Shepherd puppy, and this is all my own. I bought all my own dogs and got all my own.
Was your own as well?
Yes, yeah. This wasn't department stuff. I had to fund it all myself. And anyway, I got this German Shepherd puppy, and at 1 year of age, he's certified in narcotics, and at I think 1.5 years, he's certified with Adlerhurst in their patrol program. But anyway, he was a little German Shepherd. His parents were both retired police dogs, so I thought he was a police dog, and I had him for a while, and I used him, and he was a good dog. And then from there, I went to a Mal, and I've never looked back. Once I had a Mal, I just enjoyed the heck out of him. I can't remember how many dogs I've had now. I think it's 9, but I sure enjoy him. Now I'm a big fan of Dutch Shepherds. That's kind of my racehorse that I like. I think I'm on my last one now, and I have a Dutch Shepherd and really enjoy him.
It's a good dog. Changed my opinion on Dutch Shepherd. You don't have a Mal.
They've got that Shepherd name to them.
Yeah, you don't have a Mal just doing it wrong.
Mals are they are just what Scout said. They're spun up, man. I mean, they are busybodies. They're always a going.
Yep. One of my favorite things that Matt Theo used to always say, because he's a German Shepherd fan.
Oh yeah,
and Czech Shepherd, I think. And he used to tell me, he's like, you want to know, the difference between a Malinois and a German Shepherd. He's like, if there was a truck 100 yards over there, and you were to, tell a Malinois, hey, go over there and bring me back that truck, that Malinois would kill himself, tearing it to pieces and bringing it to you piece by piece. And he goes, you tell a German Shepherd to go get that truck, he'll walk over there, he'll pick the lock, hotwire it, and drive it over to you.
Yes.
And I was like, that's pretty true.
Pretty true.
Have you ever seen a video of they're doing a bite work with 2 dogs, with a German Shepherd and a Malinois, and they put them in the corner of a room, and they put a whole bunch of rolling chairs in front of the decoy, and the German Shepherd goes flying in there and then strategically picks his way through the rolling chairs, makes the bite. And then you watch this Malinois go in there and just jump and fly and break every freaking chair and roll and spin until he gets the bite. And that's the difference between the two.
Oh yeah, they are. What language is your commands in? Scout.
She's Dutch.
Dutch. Okay.
She's in Dutch.
Yeah.
Which was a great change. The French thing was cool, but my God, it doesn't feel right.
It does not feel right. My first dog was in French, and not only was it my first dog that was in French, it was the first dog in this department. And around every other canine handler that we trained with, I was the only one where my commands were in French, and I just got made fun of quite a bit.
Yes, it sounds different. It does.
Yeah.
But it's unique how they have these commands in different languages. And I mean, for those that aren't in law enforcement, I don't know if they realize that, but it depending on where your dog comes from and they're in Spanish, they can be in Dutch or French or German. Yeah. It's kind of neat.
Navajo,
yeah.
Hey, so you get this dog, you've been working interdiction, or you've been working interdiction for quite some time, even before you had the dog. In your experience throughout intercepting a large amount of contraband that's basically destined into the United States, tell us a little bit about maybe one of your most memorable stops that you've had being proactive and going out there and actually hunting down criminals.
Most memorable, 100%. I've told this story to quite a few people, not to brag, just to speak on what you could learn in training and how all these different bullet points we had touched upon in class were present with this one stop. It's the only one to date where I could say like almost every PowerPoint was present with this guy. It's how bad he was at it. It was his first time ever moving dope. He was a money guy. Tells us I fly into Arizona with 10 grand every couple of weeks and I drive an empty car back. And I said, well, this is why we caught you, because this was your first time ever doing this with a loaded car going back. That stop, memorable, not so much for what happened with me and the level that I had with that stop was very high. I knew what I had. I knew what I had before I even pulled him over. And I was very confident in what I was going to uncover when we were done. And I say that because we knew this guy was going to end up being tied to a lot more heinous activity in other states. The information that he gave us when we were done with this stop ended up getting a homicide suspect locked up that had just chopped somebody up and put them in his trunk and was driving down through Quartzsite, of all places, from Arkansas. One of the members is in the group was aware of the stop. But my driver admitted that he was going to be killed as soon as he got home. And we all hear it. Well, they're going to kill me if I talk. No, they're probably not. Well, this guy was 100% confident. Yeah, I'm going to be murdered as soon as I get back over into state lines in Arkansas. I've got a wife and kid I'm worried about. And we were like, well, you know what? Maybe you talk to us and this leads to good things and that guy doesn't become a problem for you anymore. And that's actually what ended up happening. This kingpin in Arkansas ended up getting a guy really high, went over to his house, beat him to death, puts him in his trunk, drives to Arizona, buys believe it was a blanket or a carpet. I think, it was a big moving blanket, kitchen knife, duct tape, and a rope, and ends up chopping this guy up into little pieces and starts scattering his parts all over Arizona down in the desert near Tucson. He ends up getting interdicted just based off of I think it was a phone ping that they had a warrant for because of the missing persons call that this created in Arkansas. He ends up getting intercepted. I don't remember what trooper it was, but it was a trooper. So thanks DPS for getting him. Goes up to the car, goes through an interdiction stop, asks him to follow the property, and the vehicle belongs to him. He says everything but the head and the hand that are in the trunk.
Oh, geez.
That is what he said to the trooper.
Wow.
So that led to person had actually killed 9 other people in Arkansas. So that is the most memorable. It wasn't the biggest. It was 13 pounds of meth and 4 pounds of pills. Wasn't the biggest, but it was the most memorable just because of what that one stop in Payson, Arizona led to halfway across the country. So that'll for sure stick with me the rest of my career. Absolutely.
Yeah. What a crazy situation.
What a story.
Is criminal interdiction, ladies and gentlemen, right there.
I was going to say, and that's why we do it.
Yep.
I mean, the drugs are nice and we all love it, but it's these other stories that you hear, these other crimes that you pick up on and are able to solve based on a traffic stop.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome, Scout. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
What have you seen recently, kind of in your area, with your with interdiction, as far as like, a lot of your dope that you're getting is coming out of the Valley area, the Phoenix area, the Mesa area, and
Right.
ultimately, are you seeing kind of a trend on where they're headed to? Are you seeing more towards the far northeast, or more towards just Albuquerque, or kind of all over the place?
It sure seems like New Mexico stuff has kind of just disappeared in the weirdest way. We were just joking. Shane and I were talking about that today, actually, joking about it. We don't see New Mexico stuff being that great anymore, to be honest with you. All the big stuff I've been hearing about and experiencing myself has been going to the Midwest. It's been going to Oklahoma. It's been going to the upper panhandle of Texas, out in Stratford. I mean, Richard Coburn, he's hit 2 of my loads I missed. So it's definitely, it seems like it's changing. I mean, I'm sure it's still kind of all going to similar areas as it
Sure.
used to be, but West definitely seems to be on the map right now. We all joke about having a rough week at work, and we're just hoping for our unicorn Kansas temp to come through 87 and get stopped, because it's been rough, man.
We all go through those spells, that's for sure.
You said something that's interesting, Scout, as you, and I think I heard you right. You said a trooper stopped a couple that you had missed or something. And this is true. I mean, it happens to all of us, probably more than we like, but
oh yeah.
With that in mind, and hearing that, I mean, you're very good at being positive and staying in the game, but tell us about, what keeps you motivated? Like, what keeps you in the game, and keeps driving you? Like, what keeps you going?
When I mentioned that winning is awesome and that I hate losing, that, like I said, that is something that was genetically bred into me from birth. I hate losing with a passion. I won't be a sore loser about it, and I'm never going to be mad at another person. You could stop the same car I stopped 10 miles down the road and hit dope. I'm never going to be mad at you for it. But the idea that I did not get it, it bothers me, and it just continues to push me out to the median every day that I go to work. I've just never been a quitter. That's just not who I am. And now having a fiance and a baby on the way is even more motivation to just continue to do well and be successful at work. There are people that I have in my the back of my mind now when I do what I do. And it is motivation. It's motivation to go home safe and not get killed at work, and it's motivation to be successful while I'm 10-8 as well. So it's definitely those two things. I think the upbringing I had, and then my current lifestyle, is definitely what motivates me.
Well, that's awesome, because we all know that there's people that get into this and they do it for a little bit and they cycle out, or some people are just kind of a flash in the pan. They get into the drug scene a little bit, and then it's not kind of what they want anymore, or they don't find success in it anymore, or whatever. But the people that stay in it, the people that continue to interdict and continue to work, it's not easy. It's not an easy job, and it's not always rewarding, like that story he told us. I mean, I haven't got one of those stories, you know what I mean? And it's like, not everybody gets that unicorn, if you will, that story where you've solved a great homicide, or got a missing person or whatever. There's a lot of down days where you just work your butt off, and you don't have anything to show for it.
Yeah. Especially when you pay attention to like a lot of these Facebook groups and stuff like that, you're starting to see, all the successes, but you don't see all of the trials and all of the hard work that's put into it
Right.
to get to those successes. And
right,
like you said earlier, Scout, I think it goes well with every aspect of police work, and interdiction specifically too, is, there's a lot more failures than there are successes.
yes,
There's a lot more failures than there are successes. And if you're not learning from those failures, you're just spinning the wheels. You need to take those failures, you need to learn from them. And, you mentioned some loads that got by you. That's, like Al said, that's every interdictor. And I know specifically, and I talk about this in our 2-day class, where same thing happened to me, where I missed a load, and simply because, I got a little bit lazy, and I took that mistake and fixed it, learned from it. And because I fixed it and learned from it, it saved us on another load where the same mistake would have occurred if I had not have learned from it.
And you learn from it. But it's just, one thing I'm impressed with, Scout, is your ability to bounce back and ability to stay motivated and be positive and fight through the the mental fatigue and the mental war of having haters and being discouraged by everything from court cases, defense attorneys, to light sentencing or no sentencing. And then, like you say, missing something or just working your butt off and not getting anything that day. You do amazing. You do amazing work, and you should be commended on it. You do a great job of staying positive. And I think it's a great example to the rest of us. People like Scout out there making a difference. And he likes to say it was bred into him. He hates losing. He's always just wanted to win. But I think that's your attitude too. You carry that attitude with you. I mean, you are a winner. And you carry that, and I like that. I feed off of that.
Absolutely. I'll add to that before you even comment, Scout. We're not even going to let you comment. You just let us talk. Okay. I see the same thing, and I didn't mention this in the beginning, but for the people listening, I think we are talking to one of our good friends that we met a long time ago. We've seen his work. We've seen him grow. We've seen you at a young age in your career excel in interdiction, and ultimately in 2021, I say ultimately, but in 2021. Were awarded a NOAA's Patrol Officer of the Year, not Interdiction Officer of the Year, Patrol Officer of the Year, or he wasn't their drug cop of the year, but patrol.
Right.
He's assigned to patrol. He's out there kicking ass on getting drugs off the road. And keep it up, man. Keep up the good work out there.
I will. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. I think that's all I had. Did you have anything else you wanted to bring up? Or?
Well, I had one more thing I wanted to throw in real quick, Scout. What's the future look like?
Yes. Let's talk about it.
Where's Scout headed to? We know what you've done. We know where you came from, but just give us an insight as to what direction we're headed.
I would love to see at some point in the future. I'm not even saying the near future, because I am content with what's going on right now with my agency. With how small we are, it may not be a reality right now, but down the road, I would love to see a full-time criminal interdiction position become a reality for us. I don't see why it couldn't, as long as we continue to progress and grow the way we are right now. I think our res is supposed to double in size here by January. I think groundbreaking happens. So that's an amazing change for us. The fact that we have a canine quote unquote unit now, that is growth as far as I'm concerned. We have a canine unit patch. That was not a thing before. That's become like I said, everything's becoming more mainstream with us. So I don't see why it couldn't happen. I would love to see that become a reality, that there is a position specifically geared towards dope and money. I would love to see that happen. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm not going to quit. I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing, and I'll do it from patrol capacity if I have to. As long as proactivity is never taken away from me, I'm more than content staying with my agency for 30 years. They've got me for life. So
that's awesome.
That's such a huge thing, man.
That is.
We teach all over the nation, and it's kind of a bummer. It's almost a downer to hear the same stories over and over about a non-supportive agency and admin that are out there. And it's very rare that we see the opposite. Oh yeah. We don't see a lot of Scout Butlers in his agency. Like when Scout says his agency is supportive, they've got me for life. We don't see a lot of that. That's rare. So that's huge, man.
It is. And you're doing the right thing. Sounds like you're right on track for those dreams. And, one of the things that I always say is we win the war by winning the little battles, and every little battle that you win, you're one step closer to winning the war. And so, in context, I mean, every time you've got a canine unit now, and the next step is maybe full-time interdiction. And then, I mean, it's going to grow. If you keep doing what you're doing and keep that positive attitude, and you're putting numbers up, you're showing your department and the public just what you got there. And that's awesome.
Yep. I think a lot of people appreciate it. A lot of people look at interdiction, and you've probably got the same thing, especially being from a smaller department, on a reservation, nonetheless, where they're like, well, how does that help out the reservation? Or, how does that help out your town?
Right.
And the thing is like, it does. First of all, we're always looking for stuff within our town. This has sharpened our skills to come after what's in our town also. But think about if the nation didn't have interdiction officers out there. Like, could you imagine?
I can't imagine.
First of all, DEA probably wouldn't have any cases. They wouldn't know what to do with them.
Well, and you think about like his homicide suspect.
Right, exactly.
And then you think about other crimes like that have been solved. The Oklahoma bombing. I mean, think about what interdictors do on a daily basis. Pretty amazing.
It is, man. That's why it's the best job in the world. I think.
That's right. No, I was just saying, I just wanted to thank you guys for being two of my 4 mentors. I have about 4 right now that I can go to and ask questions to. I don't feel like an idiot asking you guys, and I don't feel like I get treated like an idiot for asking, because I think we're all pretty humble in this circle that we're in. We all hate losing. I can attest to that. I don't think any of us like letting something go down the road. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys and thank the people that support me, my agency. Our sergeants are amazing human beings to work for, all 3 of them. Yeah, that's all I got right now. I look forward to being a part of ASA with you guys at some point, and you guys always have my back, and I always have yours. So
absolutely, man. Well, we appreciate you being on. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Keep up with us on Spotify. Now that we're going to have a lot of podcasts on there,
right.
We'll be launching a lot. In fact, we're going to try to do 2 a week, 3 a week if we can, sometimes even 4 a week. We'll be throwing up some episodes. So keep paying attention to us on Spotify. Same with the group. Those who are in the private law enforcement group that we have, we'll start throwing them up there as well. So catch up with you guys next time.